A lot of people think that you need to consume a protein powder before your workout and then immediately following your workout you have to consume it within 45 minutes, otherwise you're going to lose all your muscle gains that you made in the gym, and that is all just BS. You do not need to consume protein powder before your workout. You don't need to consume it after. Will it help you build muscle? Yes and no. Your workout is going to be what helps you build muscle. If you have a good workout, you don't need protein powder. If your workout is terrible, but you're consuming protein powder, you're not going to get the same type of muscle gains as someone who has a great workout program and isn't consuming protein powder.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in and welcome back to another Sunday Q&A. Before we start, just a quick reminder that if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our videos. Also, if you have any questions, ask them down in the comment section and we'll either respond to you directly in the comment section or answer your questions during another one of our weekly Sunday Q&As. Alright, time to answer your questions.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in and welcome back to another Sunday Q&A. Today's question is with regard to protein powder consumption. A lot of you want to know, is it okay to consume protein powders while on the carnivore diet, and have I been consuming protein powders? So that's going to be the question I'm going to be answering in today's video. And another thing is I'm going to break this video down into several sections. First, I'll be discussing can you consume it while on the carnivore diet. Then I'll answer should you consume it. I'll go through the different types of protein powders, not all of them, but some of them. I'll include some whey variations such as Isolate, Concentrate. I'll also go into Casein Protein, vegan protein, beef protein, EAAs, and then I will get into different qualities based on different companies and also different regions in the world. Now, in terms of can you consume protein powders while on the carnivore diet, it's really going to come down to how strict do you want to be while on the carnivore diet. If you want to be super strict, then no, you cannot consume protein powders while on the carnivore diet because protein powder is not an animal product, so you should not be consuming it while on the carnivore diet. But again, it all depends on how strict you want to be. If you want to add in some protein powder just to give you a few more calories or a little bit more energy or anything like that, go ahead, add in your protein powder. It's not going to be a big deal. It's going to come down to personal preference and how strict you want to be while following the carnivore diet. In terms of should you consume protein powders, you really don't need to consume protein powders. It comes down to more personal preference than anything else. If you are trying to build muscle, then yes, protein powders will help to build muscle, but you don't need them to build muscle. I currently am not consuming protein powders, and I haven't really had any issues the last couple months because my meat consumption has been high enough that I've been able to put on muscle without having to consume protein powders. So you can build enough muscle using just real raw food as opposed to using processed things such as protein powders. But again, it's going to come down to personal preference and if you want them. In terms of when you should consume them, a lot of people think that you need to consume a protein powder before your workout and then immediately following your workout you have to consume it within 45 minutes, otherwise you're going to lose all your muscle gains that you made in the gym, and that is all just BS. You do not need to consume protein powder before your workout. You don't need to consume it after. Will it help you build muscle? Yes and no. Your workout is going to be what helps you build muscle. If you have a good workout, you don't need protein powder. If your workout is terrible, but you're consuming protein powder, you're not going to get the same type of muscle gains as someone who has a great workout program and isn't consuming protein powder. So the protein powder itself isn't really going to help you build or lose muscle. It's going to come down to your workout program and also how intense are you training while you are doing your workout program. If you're half-assing it, then you're not going to see the same results as somebody who's going all out and is giving it everything they have. So protein powders, while they do have their purpose and you can incorporate them, they're not some magic supplement that you could just take and expect to put on massive amounts of muscles. Now, when it comes to different types of protein, there are several different kinds. I'll break it down into a few of the different types, some of the more common ones. In terms of protein, one of the most common forms of protein that you will hear about if you've done any research or gone on any type of blog to read about protein powder is going to be whey. Whey is derived from dairy. So when it comes to whey, two of the most common ones you're going to hear of are going to be Isolate and Concentrate. Isolate is very fast digesting and it's fairly easy to digest for the different types of whey proteins as opposed to something like Concentrate, which has a high level of lactalbumin. Now, when it comes to whey protein isolate, if you do have issues with dairy and you don't tolerate dairy very well, then I would not consume whey protein isolate because there's a chance that it might upset your stomach. Of course, there's going to be certain brands that may be a little bit cleaner and better and you'll be able to get away with. So if you do have issues with dairy and you still want to try whey protein isolate, then I would just recommend trying different brands and really focusing in and finding which brands are really high quality and which ones do well for you. At the end of this video, I will get into quality and different types of brands and brands that I have tried, brands that I recommend, and brands that have just not worked for me. Now, aside from whey protein isolate, there's also whey protein concentrate. Whey protein concentrate, it's also fairly fast digesting. However, it is a little bit more difficult on your digestive system because of the levels of lactalbumin that are found in the whey protein concentrate. So if you do have issues with digestion and specifically digesting dairy, then whey protein isolate will be better for you over whey protein concentrate. Overall though, there isn't a huge difference between the two. Most people are going to consume whey protein isolate just because you get higher levels of protein, it's fast digesting, and it's easy to digest. So if your main objective is getting in as much protein as quickly as possible into your body and having it absorb as quickly as possible without really upsetting your stomach, then whey protein isolate would be preferable over whey protein concentrate. Another type of protein powder is going to be casein protein. Casein protein is a little bit slower digesting. So because it's slower digesting, a lot of people will like to consume casein protein before they go to bed. Some people, before they go to bed, they like to have a protein shake because they think that if they don't consume protein before they go to bed, they're going to lose all their muscle gains. And the truth is, it doesn't matter if you have protein before you go to bed. It doesn't matter if you have it before your workout, after your workout. As long as you're getting enough protein throughout the day, you don't need to be downing all these powders. But if you are going to consume all these powders and you do want to consume something that's slower digesting, then casein protein is going to be the protein that you want to consume because it is slower digesting and it also does have a few other benefits. Just one of the benefits to casein protein is that it does contain several bioactive peptides which will benefit the immune system and your digestive system. So if you do have issues with your immune system or your digestive health, casein protein may be a viable option for you. But again, you want to test it out on yourself, see how you respond to it. Just because some people will get some benefits from it doesn't mean that you will. So experiment with it if you want to try it. If it works for you, great, keep using it. If not, try something else. Now, aside from the above mentioned proteins, we're going to start getting into the proteins that are not derived from milk. One of them is going to be a vegan protein. I realize it's a little bit strange talking about vegan protein while doing a video on carnivore Q&A. However, if you do have issues with digestion and you do have issues particularly digesting dairy, then a vegan protein may be a viable option for you to incorporate into the carnivore diet, even though it's not animal-based and even though it has vegan in the name. Me personally, one of the ones that I used to use in the past was Genuine Health Fermented Vegan Plus. I found that when I was consuming that one, I had absolutely zero issues digesting it, and it was really easy on my stomach. So even if you are on a carnivore diet, it may be beneficial to try a vegan protein if you're not able to tolerate dairy very well. However, if you want to be very strict with the carnivore diet, then none of these protein powders you should be consuming because none of them are technically carnivore because they're not really animal products. They may be derived from animals, but they do have other artificial ingredients in them. So that's another thing you will want to check the ingredient list when checking out all these different proteins. Aside from vegan protein, there's also beef protein. One of the beef proteins that I used to use in the past was from ATP Labs, and I found that that one was very easy to digest. For me, it worked very well. I was consuming it up until the point of when I started the carnivore diet this last time around in March. Once I started the carnivore diet in March, I went super strict, so I removed all the protein powders and pretty much everything else that wasn't an animal. And one of the reasons why I removed this particular protein was because it contains stevia. Stevia, it's not bad. It's a natural sweetener found from the stevia plant. However, stevia and the plant is not an animal, so I removed it. That was just my personal preference because I wanted to go as strict as possible. If you don't want to be strict, you can incorporate it perfectly fine. It's going to come down to your personal preference. And the last thing is going to be an EAA supplement or essential amino acids. For those of you who don't know, who are brand new to nutrition, working out, all that type of stuff, proteins are made up of essential amino acids. There are many amino acids. The essential amino acids are going to be the ones that your body is not able to produce on its own, and you're going to need to get those from your food. And one of the benefits to consuming an EAA powder is that you get a lot of the benefits from consuming a protein powder without all of the extra fillers that are added into the protein powder to give it its flavor. So the EAA supplement that I used to use was called Freeform Aminos. It was from Innovative Performance Sciences and from Poliquin Group. Those two companies, they both make the exact same EAA supplement, so whichever one was in stock, that's the one that I would go for. And when I switched to that about 2 years ago, I found that it had absolutely no effect on my digestive system. I was able to consume it. My stomach felt the best on that one as opposed to any other protein powder that I ever tried. So I would highly recommend, if you don't do well with protein powders or whey, and you do want to get some type of additional protein in your diet in the form of a protein powder, then I would recommend trying an essential amino acid supplement as opposed to a protein powder, because you will get the amino acids, but you will not get all of the extra fillers that are found in most protein powders. Another benefit is if you are trying to diet and lose weight, with an amino acid shake, there are no calories in it. You're just getting straight amino acids. You're not getting a ton of calories like you would from a protein powder. In a protein powder, you will be getting additional calories. However, they are negligible. The amount of calories that you will get from a whey protein, especially something like a whey protein isolate, is going to be very, very low. So if you are worried about consuming too many calories and are trying to minimize your calories, then an essential amino acid supplement would be preferable to a protein powder, but it's not going to make a huge difference. It's going to come down to personal preference. Experiment, see which ones work for you, and go with whatever works for you. Now, finally, I'm going to get down to quality. When it comes to quality of protein powder, you want to make sure that you are consuming a protein powder that is organic and it is very, very high quality, doesn't use a lot of fillers, doesn't use a lot of artificial ingredients. The more natural it is, the better it's going to be for your body, the better you're going to respond, the better you're going to feel, the better you feel, the better your workouts will be in the gym. So you want to consume a protein powder that's very, very clean. I mentioned earlier that the one that I tried recently, or at least most recently, was the ATP Labs one and also the EAA from Innovative Performance. I have the ATP Labs one right over here. It is called Supreme Beef Protein. I do not get paid by them. It's just a company that I like. And when you look at the ingredients, it doesn't have a huge ingredient list. It's pretty simple and there's not too many. It has some grass-fed bovine collagen hydrolysate, organic cocoa, beef bone broth proteins. It has organic flavors. Who knows what those are? Well, this one, it is chocolate flavor, so probably chocolate artificial flavors. Xanthan gum, which is a thickening agent, organic stevia, which is a natural sweetener, and sodium chloride. With regard to organic stevia, that is one of the main reasons why I stopped consuming this when I went full carnivore, because I wanted to stick to just animal products, and because stevia is a plant, I removed it. When it comes to the EAAs, this is the free-form aminos from Poliquin Group. All it is essential amino acids without any extra fillers. Those are the two that I used most recently. A few of the other brands that I recommend that I've tried in the past, Genuine Health makes some really good proteins. I've tried their Vegan Protein Plus powder and it did absolutely nothing for me, specifically the fermented Vegan Protein Plus. When I consumed that, had absolutely no issues with it. I was using that coming straight off of Whey Isolate, and I found that that was much better for my digestive system than the Whey Isolate. So if you have the same issues with dairy, then that might be a viable option for you. If you don't have issues with dairy, then you can go ahead and use that one. It doesn't really matter. When it does come to whey proteins, you want to get really good quality ones. Some places that make really great quality proteins are New Zealand, and also Canada makes some really good protein powders. The thing with New Zealand is they have pretty strict regulations with how they make their protein powders. You're not allowed to use a lot of artificial ingredients. You can't pump the animals full of growth hormones. You can't pump the animals full of antibiotics. So there's a lot of benefits to consuming a whey protein that comes from New Zealand. And same thing with Canada. Canada, more strict than the US, not quite as strict as New Zealand. So I would say New Zealand, if you're looking for whey protein, is going to be the best that you can get. Canada, I'd go second. And then everything else, I would just be very cautious of and really pay attention to the company and look into the company before you buy it. When it comes to New Zealand, one that I really liked was from Perfect Nutrition. They may have changed their name now because I was using this about 6 or 7 years ago, but Perfect Nutrition made one called Diesel. That was their whey protein isolate, and I found that that one didn't really upset my stomach at the time. The more I would consume whey, eventually after years and years, it did start to bother my stomach, so I did remove whey. But at the time, very clean, didn't upset my stomach, and I would highly recommend the Diesel from Perfect Nutrition. From Canada, a really good company is called Allmax. They make some really good protein powders. Me personally, I've never really tried it, but the company is good, and I have recommended it to clients who are looking for something that's a little bit more cost-effective, and they all tell me that they had no real issues with digestive health, especially ones that don't have issues with dairy. If they don't have issues with dairy, then that won't really affect them and they don't need to worry about it. Some other companies that I really recommend, I already mentioned Poliquin Group and Innovative Performance Sciences. I also really like ATP Labs, which I mentioned earlier. Some of the other ones are going to be Designs for Health. And you could look into a few other companies, see which ones will work for you, and just go with what works for you. If you like using protein powders and you would like to continue using protein powders, then go ahead and add them in. You don't need to cut them out just because you're on the carnivore diet, but you don't need to consume them either. If it's appropriate for your goal, then put it into your diet. If it's not appropriate for your goal and what you want to achieve, then you don't need it. Don't bother wasting the money on it. But that pretty much covers it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and if you have any other questions with regard to my experience with the carnivore diet, or any questions at all with regard to the carnivore diet, or any other questions such as program design, nutrition, what type of supplements you should be taking, go ahead, ask your questions down in the comments section. I'll either respond to you directly in the comments section or answer your questions during another one of our Sunday Q&As. But that's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again next week.
That's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our videos. And if you have any questions, ask them down in the comment section, and we'll either respond to you directly in the comment section or answer your questions during another one of our weekly Sunday Q&As. Keep fit, have fun, and we'll see you again next week.